Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another vlog. I guess it's a vlog. It's me outside in the wilderness again, coming to talk to you a little bit around what's been going on with Bitcoin. So yeah, I thought I'd grab the camera, go for a walk, get a little bit of exercise, get away from the desk for 30 or so minutes and talk about what's been going on. So today we've seen Bitcoin rally on up, broke the previous high at $30,000, and that's been received very well, I think, by the community, the crypto community as a whole. Lots of bulls really kind of happy to see Bitcoin kind of rallying like that back to the upside, and kind of taking out some of those recent highs that we've seen. And then on the flip of that, you've seen some bears really confused, myself kind of included, I guess. I am slightly bearish on the market, as you may have figured out from some of the recent video updates, of which we'll do another technical analysis video update on Bitcoin tomorrow morning, right? So that's going to be coming to a YouTube channel near you very, very soon. But you know, ultimately, what I've seen so far is a lot of kind of happy people seeing Bitcoin's price rally, which is great. It's fantastic. You know, I love to see people in this space doing incredibly well. So it's great, right? But I do kind of want to put out a little bit of a warning because it doesn't make a lot of sense right now. Taking a look at the Bitcoin price action in relation to some other economic factors and just some basics, right? So we can see that Bitcoin volumes are very, very low. Unusually low, yet Bitcoin's price is moving up. This is something that we noted very early on in 2023, where we had very similar movements in Bitcoin's price action, right? We saw lots of green candles, pretty decent ones with the occasional bit of volume behind it, but there wasn't actually kind of any meat to the bones, if you know what I mean. There wasn't a lot of volume, and there still isn't a lot of volume for Bitcoin as a whole. And so we need to be a little bit cautious, because for price action to be moving the way that it is with a lack of volume, to me it just screams manipulation. It seems like there's a lot of liquidity being grabbed out of the market. We can see this as well from the short positions and the long positions and the liquidations that are going on in terms of the futures market, right? We can see an awful lot of people are losing an awful lot of money. At the same time though, a lot of people are making some, which is great to see as well. But we have to kind of be a little bit cautious. We can't just think that everything goes green, 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 and green, and, you know, never comes back down. And as I was kind of alluding to in this morning's Bitcoin technical video, and I'll do another one tomorrow morning, so do watch out for that, we could see that we're overbought on the daily time frame now, and the weekly isn't that far behind either. This is an indication that Bitcoin's price action might be looking for a correction to the downside. And this wouldn't be unusual, it'd actually be quite natural. And I did say this morning that kind of move to the downside could be 5%, could be 20%, right? The stochastic RSIs aren't going to give you any kind of indication as to kind of the amount of downward price pressure that's going to be there. But it does tell us that momentum to the upside is kind of running out. And so our expectations here are that a correction is due. Some healthy profits can be taken off the table if you are in them. And, you know, I think continue to dollar cost average is a pretty good strategy, specifically if we start to come on down a little bit further. Now, that kind of brings me on to some of the other points I want to talk about today, which is how the current price market feels like, so, you know, technical analysis aside, but just like feels like how it felt back in 2019. And we can kind of see very similar things potentially unlikely to occur over the next few months, right? And so what do I mean by any of this? Well, 2019, we saw a real good run at the beginning of the year, a downturn halfway through the year, and then another fantastic run at the turn of the new year. Okay, so what I mean by this is January, February, March, we saw some pretty decent growth to the upside. I think it happened all the way through to about June of 2019. We then saw a very healthy correction to the downside through the second quarter. And as soon as kind of 2020 started, we started to see some really good growth again. Of course, until March 2020, which we know obviously was a pandemic crash and some of these things there as well. Now, why do I liken our current situation to that of 2019 into 2020? Well, we already know from an economic standpoint that the Fed have yet to pivot. When the Fed pivot, the climate, the economic climate, will be at its worst. And so we have to consider what that might mean for the price action overall. Okay, and so for that to kind of pull into context here, the stock market usually crashes about 50% when you see the Fed do a pivot, right? So we want to be a little bit open-minded to the current situation in terms of the fact that we see BTC and we see these other assets on the rise. The Fed haven't yet pivoted. And when the Fed pivot, it's going to be when people are struggling at their most. So we want to be open-minded to the idea that, yes, it's great to see green in the market, but the economic situation that we find ourselves in hasn't changed at all. So until we kind of get out of this situation, or until we kind of see the Fed pivot, I'm not really expecting a bull market to start. And I think we obviously have got things that might coincide all together here, and it could be a catalyst for a fantastic bull market. And what I mean by this is that we might find ourselves with the Fed doing a pivot, the market crashes, the Bitcoin spot ETF gets approved, and the Bitcoin halving event all happens in very, very close proximity to each other. If this is the case, I think we're going to have the recipe for a very, very successful bull market. My point here, I guess, overall, if we were just kind of trying to summarize things, is that although we are seeing a move up towards $30,000 in terms of BTC, ultimately, I still think we are looking for a $20,000 Bitcoin at some point in the near future that will allow us to have our accumulation, have profits taken off the table, allow for things like a Fed pivot, allow for just general kind of corrective action, and line ourselves up for a fantastic start to 2024, which could be, ultimately the next bullish market for many of those altcoins. So I think it's great to see many people in the community, crypto-wide community, as well as the cheeky community, doing incredibly well on these recent movements to the price action to the upside. I think that's fantastic. But I would just say be a little bit open-minded to the potential that this might just be short-lived. With low volumes and a history of manipulation and short squeezes occurring, I wouldn't be too surprised if all of this price action to the upside is just about grabbing as much liquidity out of the market as possible. But let me know what your thoughts are on all of this down in the comments down below. I will be back tomorrow for another technical analysis video on Bitcoin, so do watch out for that. And until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.